like fire in the dark. Fenway roars loud, breaking the spark. Green monster rising, shadows tall. Home of the dreams where legends fall. Red Sox Digest. Feel the heat, feel the flame. Red Sox Digest. Chasing glory, chasing fame. Red Sox Digest. This is the heartbeat of the game. Echoes of the past run through the ground. 10 years their spirits resound. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. Boston's blood runs.
Welcome in here, everybody, to our, I guess, first Red Sox live stream. And we did some watch parties, but definitely a first live stream of the off-season. Happy to have you along. We are going to be talking about all the latest free agency updates. Obviously, yes, we know free agency has not started yet, but that does not mean that we can't have time to look at who's on the block. Obviously, the Red Sox are in a situation where they gave away a lot of their money because, well, somebody got a little butthurt about Rafael Devers. And now we sit here and try and figure out what's next for Craig Breslow, how they can make this team better. Jace Andrews, you can see Houston right there as well. But overall, I think let's just start with an overarching theme of the Red Sox offseason. Right now, for me, Houston, we need power bats and we need a number 2 starter. That's what I'm looking at most.
You're 100% right. And that's been a lot of the conversation up to this point. We all saw it. You broke it down on the channel immediately after it happened when Breslow and Cora and Sam Kennedy were all present in that postseason press conference. And Breslow was very blunt in a lot of it, which is awesome to hear and actually see. Obviously, actions are going to speak a lot louder than the words, but we have to start somewhere. And hearing those words from Breslow saying that they have the money, they saw the championship competitor in the team that they put on the field last season, which unfortunately just ended, as we all know. But hearing the idea that, hey, this front office in Boston is bought into what we saw last season and the winning and the culture that surrounds in Boston, it's exactly what we want to hear. And you're 100% right. Someone like Schwarber, someone like Murakami, one of these guys that we'll get to in just a minute would be a great fit in Boston, and it would go a long way.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, like you said, words are just words until actions come after them. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times Craig Breslow at the trade deadline, we're going to buy. We sold Devers because we're going to buy. We're going to buy. We're going to buy. And then we actively got worse at the trade deadline. Look, legitimately, if we did not trade, we could have traded Rafael Devers for a bag of broomsticks and won more games than what we won with Jordan Hicks. We could have traded for anybody else than Dustin May and probably would have won more games. Like, it's obviously the trades happened, but they were not to our expectations. And I think in some ways that needs to be examined of Craig Breslow and his trade deadlines, because it has been good. But one thing he has been good at is off-season movement. We talk about Bregman. I know that Wilyer wasn't his choice. I mean, a lot of the reports coming out of camp was that was Alex Cora's doing, that was John Henry's doing. And Craig Breslow just kind of had to say okay about it. But he did figure out the Garrett Crochet deal. He did get an extension with him done. He did get an extension, whether it be right or wrong, with Christian Campbell and with Roman Anthony and Aroldis Chapman. So there's a lot of things he's done right, but trades have been an interesting topic with him.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the numbers now for Dustin and obviously Jordan Hicks. Those two guys being the focal point that came back for Rafael Devers in that blockbuster trade that felt fake when it originally happened. I remember where I was. I remember who told me. A coworker at my work told me, and he showed me the tweet from Passan, and I didn't believe it. I just kind of looked at it blank, and I was like, it's a fugazi. There's no way that was the return. There's no way this actually took place. And obviously it did. And Jordan Hicks, you and I feel the same exact way about him. It was hard to watch. Every time he came onto the mound for the Red Sox, it didn't matter if it was as an opener, if it was as a reliever, if it was as a closer. It did not work in Boston. There's no way around it. He posted an 8.2 ERA in just his tenure in Boston. Obviously not a full season of work because of when he was acquired in that trade for Devers from San Francisco. there was a lot of upside. And Breslow, we have to give him credit, like you mentioned, the trades that he made going out there and moving those prospects for Crochet, getting ahead of that, giving him that money, in which I broke down on this channel when it originally happened. Credit Breslow. He was eager enough and willing to go out there and make those trades, which he did. And once he acquired Crochet, he didn't wait around. He gave him a contract extension, and he went out there. He led the entire MLB in strikeouts. He's going to finish number 2 in the Cy Young, it seems like, in the AL. Unfortunately, Scooble's just undeniable. But if we can get something like that again this offseason, who knows? Boston could, again, jump another leap and really take another major step and become a legit competitor next season.
And pitching and trades are going to be a huge part of what we're going to talk about in today's stream. Yeah. But I think what I first want to start with is the free agency outlook, because we all know the situation. They saved money. They got Rafael Devers off contract, which by Craig Breslow's model was a wrong thing. The way Craig Breslow views baseball, if you are just a DH and you are making that amount of money, you are useless to him. Hence why there was a problem, hence why he traded him away. And whether you think it was Rafael Devers was acting like a child, there was a miscommunication. And as of right now, Rafael Devers should be a Red Sox, and that's not how it is. But that's not the point. They do have money, though. They have the money from that contract. And if they're going to go off of what they said in their press conference, then the first guy we have to look at here is going to be got to be Kyle Schwarber. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. Kyle Schwarber is the guy to kind of look at in this situation.
Yeah, Schwarber has been. He's not catching anymore because we haven't seen him do that in so long. Is Breslow really going to say F it and go out there and give someone like Schwarber that $40 million number? That, and again, that is just a speculation that we've discussed about and that has been circling on the social media and on the internet. I don't know. You and I have had this conversation off camera. We don't know if Breslow is actually going to pull the trigger and go out there and give him that lump of money. If you look at Rafael Devers' contract, he was making what, $29 million in 2024. 2024 he's making $29.3 million. Obviously, he was still playing third base at that time, but once the conversation came about of him being a first baseman or possibly being a DH, all hell broke loose. And yes, the money had a big piece of that conversation. I don't know how this is going to work. I would love to see Schwarber in a Red Sox jersey. I think that offensive production will skyrocket this Red Sox offense that was abysmal down the stretch without the 21-year-old Roman Anthony. They have to add another piece. And yes, a prolific power bat would go a long way, not only on paper, but on the field. Despite the lack of defense, or really zero defense that he'd be playing, it would go a long way.
Yeah, I think this is, and we'll talk about Alex Bregman in a second and the decision that he has to make that will have a huge effect on the Red Sox. But I think a lot of ways, this is where Alex Bregman may have helped the Red Sox, and specifically Craig Breslow and whoever they end up hiring as GM, because we know that's in the works as well. That the model isn't everything. The model is not the way that we should run our entire franchise. Does it have some great things? 100%. There's no denying that. But should you run your entire baseball team off the computers? No, because it's baseball. There's a feeling to this sport. There's a vibe around different players. And Bregman, whether you think his second half was good or not, which it really wasn't, he might make the same amount of money he made this year, or at least a little less over a long-term period, specifically because he is a clubhouse guy. He made the Red Sox better when he was injured. That's a reason that I think for Kyle Schwarber, similar enough, he is a vibes player. He's going to come here and the fans would love him. They already loved him when he was here, and they gave that money to Masataka Yoshida because Chaim Bloom, as good as a drafting GM as he was, might have been the dumbest when it came to free agents. So for Schwarber, this is the time to kind of make amends. It might be $40 million a year. It might be, but it's not going to be 7 years. It's not going to be 8 years like the Devers contract. It's going to be, if I had to bet right now, if he's going to get 40, I'm thinking 3 years. If he wants to get 38, 37, I think he can get 4 years.
I 100% agree. Again, we talked about this at the end of the live stream for that final game of the Red Sox season, which unfortunately came. But like that 40 million number is circling. Like that is something that has been attached to Schwarber, and there's going to be a lot of conversations in Philly, and we have to see how that plays out. And I know it's really hard to have this conversation when there's so many different moving parts, including, hey, this guy's going to be a free agent, but he's a part of an organization that is on the record saying we are going to bring him back. And I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me exactly. But the Phillies organization is obviously very high on Schwarber because they have a pair of eyes, and they watched what he's done, not only this past year, but the years prior. He is a prolific bat. There's no other way to describe it. If the Red Sox could go out there and acquire someone on that level, it would be transformative for the entirety of the team. He's been in the league for a while. He's done it for a long time at a very high level. He would be an immediate boost to this team, and it would really the notion around Breslow is not the most positive for the reasons you have already addressed in this video. And we've only been live for a few minutes. Like, yes, the Crochet trade was phenomenal, but the second Devers is out the door, and Bregman, yes, did a lot. Like you mentioned, that wasn't really Breslow. He just kind of had to say, okay, do it. If he can go out there and Bregman out of the conversation, we're not going to really implement if he comes back or not in the Schwarber conversation, at least in this setting. That would go a long way. I apologize. My dogs are going crazy. I think my sister's home. But yeah,
your dogs want Kyle Schwarber too, that's what I'm hearing.
Huge.
Your dogs are really wanting Kyle Schwarber to be on the Red Sox, is what I'm saying.
You're 100% right. They heard Schwarber in a Red Sox jersey, and they lost their mind. That's what's going on.
Kyle from Waltham's coming back, and they're losing their crap over there.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of Schwarber, the good news, bad news, and I think you mentioned it there, and I don't want to get too deep in the conversation because I don't think it's worth it, but he becomes a lot more of an option if Alex Bregman does leave, 100%. And 100%. Like I said, I don't think there's a reason to get into that because we don't know what's going to happen with Alex Bregman. If Alex Bregman, once he opts out, we can start to have more of a conversation on that because there has been a better feeling lately about his potential to opt in. So I'm going to kind of say what Alex Cora said. I'm going to stay positive in that his wife right now is going to Harvard. He loves Boston. He wanted to play in Fenway Park. He wanted to come to Red Sox for the right reasons. And I feel as though he will reward them with loyalty in one way or another. Whether he decides to opt in, that's one thing. But I feel even if he opts out, he's going to go out into free agency, and then we'll come back in and say, hey, listen, I have these offers from these teams, and I want you to match it. And I think in that case scenario, the Red Sox are going to have an opportunity to keep Alex Bregman. It's really going to be up to the bottom line on top of whether or not Craig Breslow understands that maybe he wasn't the one who chose him last year, but if he chooses him this year, we're going to be in a very good spot.
Couldn't agree more. And there's a dip again, and this was really before the Roman entire saga really began in Boston, and that prolific bat of Roman Anthony was really introduced in a constant factor in the lineup. But Bregman, like you said, his ability to just speak to Narvi, Connor Wong, the starting pitching, and really the pitching in general, you can't replicate that. Like, as someone who is actively on the diamond, whether he's playing third base or, again, he's just in the clubhouse, having these conversations in hotel rooms at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, like it was discussed ad nauseum during the Red Sox season, his ability to just have these conversations and walk these guys through big situations against guys that Bregman has seen multiple times over his illustrious, now 10-year career. That's not something, and yes, Trevor Story is a veteran at this point. He's played a lot of baseball at a high level. But is it the same as of an Alex Bregman or really anyone else on that team? I don't think it is. And I believe you'd sit the same way with me in that opinion. I remember specifically, I believe it was in game 2 of the wild card. There was a mound visit against the Yankees, and Bregman was the only one speaking. He literally, all of the infield, the catcher obviously, were standing on the mound, and the only one, you can see the close-up video of the active broadcast. Bregman's the only one speaking. He's telling them how to go about handling this situation. And what happens? They're able to go out there, they're able to execute on the mound, and they get out of a tough situation because Alex Bregman was at the helm. He was really just the leader of that team, not only physically with the bat that he produced, especially in Fenway Park. As we know, he is Barry Bonds, basically, from the right-handed side in Fenway, but also just the ability to coach, the ability to be the leader for this Red Sox team is really irreplaceable in my opinion. And I do think if and when he opts out, it is specifically for a leverage opportunity for against Boston. And no, I don't think he's trying to take advantage of Boston in any way, but he's going to be able to go out there, test the free agency market, just dabble around, see what the offers look like, with the hope to return to Boston for, again, a longer deal with more years. And obviously the AAV would then go down just a tick. It wouldn't be at that $40 million number that we saw with the original deal, which I would be okay with, because bringing Alex Bregman back in a Red Sox uniform would do amazing things for this Red Sox team. Again, not only statistically as an offensive and defensive player for this Red Sox team, but in the sense of leadership on and off the diamond. That is so hard to replace. And I don't think there's a lot of guys on the free agency list and market, and we can run through a few of the names if you'd like, specifically the left-handed bats, that are going to be able to go through there and replicate that to any extent. And Kyle Schwarber's included in that. Yes, he would have a piece of it, but I don't think he'd have the same impact as someone like Alex Bregman.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing we're kind of put down here is no matter what, even if Alex Bregman does go out and test the free agency market, he's going to come back to Boston and say, hey, here's what I have offered. I like you. I want to stay here. I feel as though this is my home. Like, he was loyal to Houston for a reason, and he always liked Boston when he was in Houston. He made that even clear whenever he played us, besides 2018 when he learned his lesson and posted a, let's say, non-highlight compilation of Nathan Eovaldi, and then the next day got absolutely wrecked. But given this as a live stream, I think it's important. We got some questions, and I want to make this as interactive as possible. So we'll talk about Pete, we'll talk about Alex, but kind of looking at the questions. By the way, we're fixing the sound. It kind of was off track on mine, but looking at a couple questions here. Money Mike Madness says, why Schwarber? The Sox have a loaded outfield, renegotiate with Bregman. What first base trade options are available? So funny enough, I think we could really answer the first two questions pretty simply. Kyle Schwarber would come in and be a DH. Masataka Yoshida would be on the way out the door at that situation, whether it be a trade, a DFA. I mean, even at that point, Masa would not be on the team in that situation. Renegotiating with Bregman obviously is the main choice, but what first base trade options are available? I think that's where we can go into our next free agent to look at, because trade options are, I think, a bit thin at first base, but in terms of a signing option, there's a big one right in front of us, and it's Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Pete Alonso got a lot of conversation this past offseason, obviously, because, well, he thought he was being undervalued by the Mets. He wanted more money. They simply did not budge, and it felt like the entirety of the MLB was really just playing a game of chicken to some extent. And we saw that with Boston this past offseason, and we really didn't know how it was going to end. Now, it wasn't obviously involving Pete Alonso. I believe it was with Alex Bregman in that entire conversation of trying to, hey, $40 million. Detroit was obviously in that conversation, Houston and others trying to acquire Alex Bregman, and it was a big game of chicken to some extent. But in the end, someone ended up paying Alex Bregman, obviously the Red Sox. Pete Alonso, going to be an unrestricted free agent because of the one-year deal he signed last year, and really a prove-it deal. Now, Alonso, he went out and performed. Defensively, he wasn't great, but it's really hard to take the WAR account or the WAR stat into account when you're a first baseman, especially when you have the offensive numbers that Pete Alonso had. He's a right-handed batter. His spray chart isn't dominantly to the pull side, which is really what you're hoping for from a righty, especially in Fenway Park. Would he be able to have success? Without a doubt. He's Pete Alonso. The guy mashes. He's done it for a long, long time. As you see on the graphic here, 38 home runs, on base percentage just under 350. Overall, a pretty good season with 126 runs batted in. He is in a small group of players, as we all know. And yes, there's going to be an ample amount of options at first base, and a lot of them, like Cody Bellinger, is a big name being circulated surrounding not only the Red Sox but the entirety of the league. Another left-handed bat with great versatility. It's going to be interesting to see which direction the Red Sox go in. Do they want to bring in that right-handed bat with hopes they can go out there and get another lefty like Schwarber, or possibly another name we're going to mention here soon? The Red Sox are in a very interesting spot. Alonso would fit in Boston. I don't know I can say he's my number one option to replace at first base. I don't know how you would feel.
So I'm going to answer one of the questions on there in this statement, but the question basically rides, is Tristan Casas going to be the Red Sox first baseman next year? And I think in a lot of ways that goes back to what Craig Breslow, Alex Cora have said about Tristan Casas for honestly the past 4 years. Is he a player that you believe long-term can be your first base guy? I think at one point that was the, let's say, option. I think now I have not seen a single comment or statement from either Cora, Breslow, or for much further in the organization that truly wholeheartedly believes in Tristan Casas. And I think Casas can be good. I really do. But at the same time, there has been injury after injury. When he comes back from his injuries, he starts at a very low point. Like this season at the beginning of the year was not a good start. And it really stunk because he started to hit his stride right when he basically ripped his knee apart. And we don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. I mean, that's an injury that we can look at Bryce Harper and say, okay, he's come back from, but there's been other players who have had similar injuries like that and come back and not been the same. And Casas is not a fast player by any means right now, but that is something that his knee is affected. And I think in a lot of ways, Tristan will be on the team next year. Can I guarantee that he's the starting first baseman? And can I guarantee that he is not traded by next year's trade deadline? No, I really can't. I think if the Red Sox had it their way, they would find somebody younger or a long-term deal with Pete that would work out. However, going on the Pete conversation, I don't want Alonso. I don't have the tweet available, but Tyler Milliken tweeted out that Alonso's seeking out about a 7-year deal with a decent chunk of money on there. And personally, I don't think Pete is worth a 7-year contract. Forget the money side of it. But I also do not believe that Craig Breslow would pay a 30-year-old the amount of money that Pete is going to want until his age 37 year season. That doesn't seem like something that would go with Craig Breslow.
So I agree. Alonso getting 7 years is drastic in my opinion. Will he get it across the league? Will some team go out there and give him that deal?
I believe he
I'm
will.
not shutting that out.
I believe he will, and
that
that's why I think the Red Sox don't have a chance. I think someone will actually give him 7 years.
Yeah.
Let me go find the tweet while you're talking. Let me find it.
Someone is going to do that. And whether it's 7 years, obviously no one can actually predict that. Will he get 5 to 7 years from another team? I think there's a good, very, very good chance someone goes out there, even if it's a bad organization, and they go out there and try to just reset and bring in a power bat like Pete Alonso. They're definitely going to consider the offer of 5 to 7 years for Alonso outside of the money the AAV or the total value, if you will. Casas is interesting. I wanted the Red Sox to trade Casas last offseason. I was really, really open to that idea. If he landed in Seattle, someone that absolutely needed a first baseman, there was a lot of conversations about Christian Walker, Pete Alonso, and these different guys landing in Seattle. Obviously, Seattle's now winning 3-1 over the Blue Jays in the the bottom of the first inning.
Jeez.
They obviously are just doing just fine without a big name first baseman. But if you were able to package a young first baseman with a lot of power abilities, at least on paper, for what we've seen in the first 3.5 years, if you will. Yes, it's been blemished with injury, and possibly a Masataka Yoshida. You could have, And again, I don't know to be exact, but they could have possibly packaged that for one of these great right-handed arms out in Seattle, like a Brian Wu or a Bryce Miller, or again, fill in the blank. I thought that was a very reasonable opportunity for the Red Sox. It didn't happen. They took another chance on Casas. It ended horribly. And we never want to see anyone, regardless of the team, fall to injury, especially as severe as the one Casas had, because he only got to play in what? 29 games last year. He had 112 plate appearances, yet he was striking out a lot. And he had a 182 average. Again, like you mentioned when you brought this up originally, he was starting to find that stride right towards the end of what was his season with that injury taking place. If he can stay healthy, I could see how a trade package could bring up some value. But now at this point, with a 4-year career up to this point, being still only going into his age 26 season this up and coming year, what value is he actually going to maintain with the injuries he's dealt with? And I don't want to say the lack of production, because the injuries are there and have blemished his entire career, but he had 63 games played in 2024. He played 132 games in 2023, 260 average. He hit 24 home runs. He drove in another, where's my RBI? 65 RBIs. Not the greatest season production-wise, but he was only a sophomore in the league up to that point. He was only 23 years of age. If he can go out there and just show some type of stability, maybe the Red Sox have an opportunity to trade him. What that market's going to look like is going to strictly come down to the faith these other organizations have in really his ability to not get injured and also continue to produce at that level, if not even higher. So it's
I want to play a
interesting.
hypothetical game with you real quick, because there's some comments about Josh Naylor in the chat as well, and I have somewhat of a. I'm just gonna throw it out there. This is just off the top of my head, but I think this could work out in a lot of ways. Josh Naylor right now is with the Mariners. However, it's just the 1-year deal. He'll be a free agent after this season. The option is there to sign him, and for a guy who's been relatively consistent for the past 3 years now, you could probably get him for a decently cheap option for 2-3 years. And then you're fixing he's also a pretty good defensive first baseman and a relatively fast first baseman amongst the league leaders in a lot of ways. So I'm just going to put a hypothetical out there. Josh Naylor obviously becomes the free agent. He does not re-sign with Seattle, and the Red Sox make a whole Seattle pitch here where they sign Josh Naylor away and then proceed to put together a package that could include some form or fashion of Tristan Casas, Masataka Yoshida, and 1 or 2 prospects, like I'm thinking Mikey Romero potentially could be included in some of this, and you go out and you get one of those Seattle Mariners pitchers. I think the most likely option for a trade, at least in Seattle's mind, is Luis Castillo. But if I'm Craig Breslow, I'm shooting for the moon right away and saying, how's Logan Gilbert looking? How's Brian Wu looking? Like, could this be an option? Because I think the best case scenario for the Red Sox, especially if they really do like those Seattle Mariners pitchers, is that the offense fails them, whether it be in the rest of this series, which, I mean, they're doing fine right now. Obviously, Cal Raleigh has been the breakout player of the year, or whether it be in the World Series. I think that's the best option if you want for the Red Sox to go out and get a pitcher from the Mariners.
So the package, I don't hate. I hate seeing good young prospects in the Red Sox farm system go. That's why it hurts so bad to see Crochet arrive in Boston, because just seeing these guys end up in a White Sox jersey that could have been a part of the Red Sox organization in
I
years
have
going.
no problem with anybody but Kyle Teal in that situation, and given we have Narvi, I'm actually very okay with Braden Montgomery and Chase Mydroff being on the White Sox.
Yes, and Chase, I understand he ended up taking Crochet deep in the game against the White Sox. I remember that. That was absolutely infuriating watching that happen.
He also doesn't hit home runs, which is the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was like, of course he hit one there. But so Kyle Teal switching catcher, that was hard to see let go. Having Narvi back, or get Narvi from the Yankees in that cash considerations trade, was just blatant robbery.
Another trade that has gone well for Craig.
Yeah, like that was amazing to see, and I hope Narvi is a part of this team for the next decade plus. I really do mean that. He's a young guy, and his ability defensively just trumps all of the offensive abilities.
Would like for the catching interference to stop.
Yeah, there were too many of those this season.
That was a wild thing.
You and I both agree with that. Sean Barry also agrees with that. Yeah, the other guy, the other creator for Red Sox Digest. But it's just, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, would I do that for anyone outside of Luis Castillo in a Seattle Mariners starting rotation sense? Yes. Kirby, Wu, Miller even, and I know both Wu and Miller have dealt with injuries this season and haven't been as productive as everyone really expected, but injuries happen, and that's why we're having this conversation about Casas. I think any of those guys would be legit pieces in this Red Sox rotation and really round things out. And it would just make them more stable. Like Crochet, obviously, you have Bello, who's only getting better year after year. He took such great strides this season. It was so great to see. But if you could add a Brian Wu or, again, Bryce Miller, and if you really wanted to shoot for the moon and go get a Logan Gilbert or a George Kirby, good Lord, this starting rotation would be terrifying for anyone not rooting for the Red Sox or in a Red Sox jersey. So, to your idea, in that proposed trade, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And it's going to be hard to move Massa in the sense of a Red Sox fan because I don't know. I think he really did such a great job at the end of the year and in the postseason. I don't know if Breslow's going to do it. I think Breslow is going to like sit really, really stirred with Massa, and I don't think he'll move him. And I don't like that idea because if you could package him and if you could sell high, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm with you, but I don't know. I don't know if I could put faith in Breslow to actually trade him after what he did in the end of the season.
I fully think he will trade Massa personally. I
I hope
love
he
Massa to
does.
death, but he doesn't like only DHs. And Masataka Yoshida literally almost got run over by Jarren Duran in like the first game he played this season in Chicago. So I don't see a lot of that. But kind of continuing on with the pitcher talk, because I think that's what I want to focus on here. I have to talk about what I think. I think it's probably yours too, but specifically my like number one trade free agent, whatever off season move besides Alex Bregman outside the organization is Joe Ryan. Like the I don't know if that's just because we had him for a good 3 seconds because of Fox Sports. I don't know if that's the reason why I want him so bad.
Boy.
But his stats, his entire delivery system fits so well with the Red Sox, in my opinion. I don't know. I think there's an easy way to go out there and get Joe because we talked about it in previous videos. Last year in the regular season, they tried to go get Garrett Crochet. And you know what White Sox said? They said, we want Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. And Craig Breslow said, yeah, you're funny. Bye. And then got him for Braden Montgomery, Chase Mydroth, and Kyle Teal, which is fantastically a better package. Kyle Teal, I love him, but he hasn't done a big thing yet. And given our catcher that we got in Narvi, and we'll talk about Wong in a second, I think we're in a good spot there. But I like Joe Ryan so much. I think his pitch mix is good. His fastball is something that is very underrated, I think, in this league, and overall would be a perfect number 2, because if you go Garrett Crochet, Joe Ryan to Brayan Bello, and then past that, you have the options of if you get Lucas Giolito back, if Conley Early continues to develop in the way we saw him this season, I feel like your pitching staff becomes arguably one of the best in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah, with Early, these two guys are going to be a part of the Red Sox system for a while because of what they did on the big stage when they got the opportunity, despite being 21, 22 years of age. Like, they were thrown into the fire. Like, Tolley made 6 starts at single A. They said, yeah, he's send him up. Double A, 3, 4 starts. Yeah, do it again. Send him up again. Triple A. He is just dominant. He has 1 inning. He has not even a full inning. He has 2 outs of the first inning in his first start because of 2 errors and of just bad defensive baseball. Things look horrible. And then from the first 2/3 of the first inning in his first start in AAA, from then on until he gets called up, is just flat out dominant. Looked like he's been in the pros for a while now, was sent down for rehab, and he just hasn't been called up. That's literally what he looked like. With him and Early and having the ability to throw early in the starting rotation, it seems like Tolley is going to find himself as a middle reliever almost, or a high leverage guy even in later years of his career, which I'm totally okay with. If he can convert fully to a starter and be dominant for 6 to 7 innings, sign me up. But as long as he's a part of this pitching staff in some form or fashion, I'm all set. But to your point, if Joe Ryan is a part of this Red Sox organization next season, I couldn't agree more. Like Crochet and Ryan, 1 and 2, without a doubt. But then you have Giolito, Bello, Early, Tolley, and like that is a really, really, really good starting rotation. And not to mention, let's take the average age of all those guys. Like Crochet is, or
26.
Giolito's the oldest one out of those names, but Crochet is relatively young. He is young. Joe Ryan is only 29 years of age.
Honestly,
Early.
at that point, Joe Ryan will be the oldest of the group if you take out Lucas Giolito, because Crochet's
Yeah.
26, Bayo's I think
Yep.
25, and then 29 will be Joe Ryan. Early is 23 now. I think he just turned
Yeah.
23.
He's a spring chicken. He really, like, they would have so much youth with so much great ability at their disposal. They would not only be good next season, but the years following that, they would continue to be good because obviously Crochet's taken care of. We can assume if Joe Ryan, I'm going to pull up his contract so I know exactly.
He's got one year left, but the expectation is if anybody were to trade for him, even if it would have been this trade deadline, was that a contract extension would come with the trade. Because the Twins, in the way that they're looking at, he doesn't fit into their timeline. They had a fire sale. They know that their time is going to be a while from now, and so that's why the most likely option for them to do is to trade Joe Ryan. I don't see them building around him is my point, given he has 1 or 2 years left on his contract. I think it's 1 year and an option maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'll be able to. I don't think they'll be able to build around him either. I think it'll be a really, really tough situation to do that because, well, like you said, they legitimately had a fire sale. Like, that's not an understatement. They got rid of everybody.
Literally,
and like
the only person is Brian Buxton. Like that on offensive side of things, that's the only guy they kept.
And it kind of felt like they couldn't move him. Like he's been a part of that team and organization for so long. He's done it at such a high level for that organization. It kind of felt like they physically could not trade him or emotionally could not trade him. Now, Joe Ryan, if and when he's acquired by another team, hopefully the Boston Red Sox, contract extension is going to come. And I know the number may scare some people, the average or the AAV may scare some people, and the actual length and longevity of that contract may scare some people. Take a step back and look what just happened with Crochet. Go out and get him. Give him that number. Let him go out there and perform with a Red Sox offense, which I know was not great at the end of the year and into the postseason. I won't argue that they were. I watched the same baseball games you guys did. It was dreadful a lot of the times. And that's not fun baseball to watch, especially as a fan of that team. But Roman will be healthy. You can assume Bregman may be back. You can assume there's another power bat in that lineup, whether it's a lefty or a righty. Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, Cody Bellinger. The list goes on of possible names they could go out and acquire. Could you imagine Joe Ryan pitching in Fenway Park with 5.5 runs of offensive support? And I'm pulling that number from just after the All-Star break or a month after the All-Star break, where the Red Sox averaged 5.5 runs per game offensively.
And that was against good teams. Like, forget the 10-game win streak when they were facing maybe the worst teams we've ever seen in the MLB in the past 10 years. I mean, to go from the Nationals to the Rockies to the White Sox was a legit, like, a 10, or to the Rays, rather. That was a crazy 10-game win streak, but let's be honest with ourselves. Those teams were not anything to be writing home about.
100% agree. But then just having that next dominant guy, not having to rely on a bullpen game, which was okay for the Red Sox this season because they had a dominant bullpen. And it didn't start that way. But by the All-Star break, it was working. And we had conversations last offseason where the idea of Chapman, before it was announced, of being the closer for the Red Sox was really, really fought against from
we
some of
truly
the
thought
community.
Liam Hendricks was going to be the closer. Like, let's be honest. Liam Hendricks was the front runner.
Yeah, and when the idea of a 40-year-old Chapman, and I know he's like, 38 now?
I think he's
37. Yes, I understand he's older, but like he was dominant. He was one of the best, if not the best closer in baseball, and he legitimately gave himself a chance to be in the Cy Young conversation. I'm pretty sure the last closer to do that was Eric Gagne with the Dodgers, and he needs no introduction. And so I think the bullpen is going to continue to be good. Obviously, they're going to be able to go out there and add more complementary pieces, which we'll get into at a later date because that's just an entire wormhole of conversations to fall into. But yes, Joe Ryan in a Red Sox uniform, I think he looks a lot better. I'm looking at his Baseball Savant page right now from this past year, and legit 6 pitch mix: four seam, sweeper, splitter, sinker, slider, curveball. He's not throwing the sweeper, excuse me, he's not throwing the slider or the curveball more than 10% of the time, but like the
If he
expected
comes to
batting
the Red
average,
Sox, I think that slider becomes a lot more of a usage pitch for him, the way the Red Sox seem to use their sliders.
absolutely. And being able to work with someone like Garrett Crochet. And this is something we love to have the conversation about when Tolley was brought up and Early was brought up and Kyle Harrison got his opportunity to actually participate for the Red Sox on the major league level. These guys are all so young. And Brayan Bello's another guy, but again, he was already established. These guys are so young. They have so much upside. They have so much talent. They have so much ability. Now they get to work with not only the Red Sox pitching staff and the overall coaching they have maintained there, but then you add Garrett Crochet, who, yes, is still relatively young and he's not as accomplished up going into this season. Obviously, after this year, he was dominant and should be 1B in the Cy Young conversation. And if you got my vote, he'd win it. This Crochet is going to be able to help these guys and mirror these guys and show these guys, hey, this is what I do. And well, I don't have to tell you how good I am. You just watched me dominate. Like every time I stepped on the mound, it didn't matter if we were in New York playing in a hostile environment. It didn't matter if I were at home at Fenway. Like that is going to do a lot. And if Joe Ryan can come in there and work again with that coaching staff, as well as the players that are already there, Giolito, who's a veteran in this league, as well as someone like Crochet, it would be transformative, not only for Ryan, but for the rest of this starting rotation and really the pitching in general for the Red Sox.
Yeah, kind of to round out the pitching conversation, we can kind of go into some more bats that I want to look at. But looking at the comments, bullpen I think is in a good spot. I think people who,
Yeah.
if you're looking for bullpen help, I really don't know where you have to look much further than our AAA team or below that. Because I think you made a good point. Peyton Tolley, I think at the end of the day, is going to start in the bullpen this upcoming season. Whether he ends up as a starter at the end of the season, I don't know, but I fully believe he will be a bullpen piece at the start of the season, especially if Justin Slayton doesn't work out. But in that same conversation, Justin Slayton, I think, is really, really good. Really started to kind of come back from his injury at the end of the season, looked good. You talk about pitchers that are also tradable assets and long-term relief efforts. You have Hunter Dobbins, you have Cutter Crawford, you have the potential for Richard Fitz to pitch the way he did early on in the season. And that's not to mention that you have legitimately the best 1-2 combo that baseball saw this year in your 8th and 9th with Garrett Whitlock and Aroldis Chapman. And I know Aroldis had a little bit of rough patches at the end of the season. I truly wholeheartedly blame that on the Red Sox leaving Ali Sanchez on the roster and making Aroldis Chapman pitch to him, because Aroldis consistently told us the reason I can locate is because of Andrew Bailey, first of all, and secondly because of Connor Wong and because of Carlos Narvaez. I trust them to be able to catch these things, and it's made me better. So Aaron Boone can say whatever he wants about, he knew how to locate here, but in all reality, I truly believe that every team that had Aroldis Chapman up until us said, "Here's the ball, big boy, go throw the heat." They didn't say how to pitch. They didn't tell him what to do. They said, "Here's the ball. I want fastballs and I want your splitter. And I want to see you go out there and strike him out." They didn't help him. Andrew Bailey, a pitching mind that he is, I mean, good or bad, he has helped pitchers. And so I think the bullpen is in a good spot. I'm seeing comments of Dylan Cease, Michael King. I think first option is Joe Ryan. And if you get him, I see less of the point of going out and getting those two or one of those two, specifically because you have Bello for at least 3 more years under contract, and he pitched well this year. I want more of him. You have Conley Early for 6 more years. I want him under contract because if he keeps pitching this way, he might get the next contract extension. It might not be just the 6-year rookie contract. It's going to be, we don't want to go to arbitration with you. We want to get you to a contract. I mean, we saw that very clearly that Craig Breslow wants to get these young guys locked in. So I think if Joe Ryan does end up getting traded somewhere else, or if the conversations fall flat, then I'm more open to looking at a Michael King or Dylan Cease. But both those guys, Michael King was injured and had some problems. Dylan Cease did not have a good year. I don't know if I'm willing to spend what he's probably going to ask when I know other teams will. So I'm not too worried about pitching, to be honest. I think it's going to be a good spot. I think because you have the guys coming back and Dobbins, Crawford. I mean, you want to talk about Pablo Sandoval, who does not deserve a spot, in my opinion, but he's an option out there that is on your roster, that is signed for next season. You have a ton of options in that light. But we talked about it. The postseason and then the last season, it was the offense. That was the reason the Red Sox did not go further than they did. And of the power bats out there, there's not many in America. However, there is a guy in Munetaka Murakami that Houston talked about in his latest video, and because of what's happened to Masa, I'm hesitant, but Murakami gives off, I'm going to come out, I'm going to be a power hitter, and I'm going to wreck the MLB, because he did not perform well in the World Baseball Classic, but in the MPB, he has been legit like the best player. Like legit. I mean, I'll pull up the stats here. They're kind of tough to see, but you can zoom in. In 2022, he ranked first in legitimately like every offensive stat.
He won the Triple
MPB.
Crown as a 23-year-old.
He makes the most sense to me if you're going to look at some power bats for cheaper options.
So 2 things I want to bring up. First thing, Hunter Dobbins. I will hand up accountability. I totally forgot that.
Go follow
name.
him on Twitter. He legit is he has told us, I'm going to give you play-by-play updates the entire offseason of how my injury status is going. And the entire playoffs
Love
run,
that.
he was tweeting out, my neighbors are going to hate me because I'm going to be so loud for the next 3 days. Like, he is legitimately so funny.
I loved him back when he had that start in New York, and he was absolutely dominant. He played phenomenal, really he did, for the majority of his tenure this past season before he had that unfortunate injury. That's
it is an ACL, which kind of does suck, so he probably won't be back till All-Star break area.
At least. And just Dobbins is another example before we get into the bat conversation and Murakami. He is another young guy who's, yes, he's a right-handed pitcher, which is a bit different because Tolley, Early, and Crochet, obviously all lefties, but he's another young guy who's going to be able to learn and build around these other very, very good arms, and he's going to be able to develop. He's going to get better, and he's going to get better, and if he can stay healthy, like, that's another very credible arm in the Red Sox starting rotation. Thank you for bringing up that name, because that is just another piece of the example for the younger guys.
For how long a season is, like 162 games, you forget stuff that, like, it's hard, but like thinking back to like the first game at Fenway when we had back-to-back home runs with a 3-run homer from Trevor Story, and then Wilyer hits another home run that puts us up at the time like 5-0.
The place exploded.
Exactly, and you thought at that point, oh man, we're going back to the playoffs, and we did. I think at that time we had higher expectations, especially because of the way Crochet looked and injuries weren't a thing, and Roman Anthony wasn't there yet, and Rafael Devers was. But this was such a long season that I think it's nice to kind of just bounce ideas. It's like you said, you just forget some of these guys exist until you start talking about the season again.
Especially when they miss so much time from basically pre-All-Star break and on.
Tristan Casas. Another guy that was kind of thrown out of there.
Yeah. So back to the conversation. Murakami, this guy, when I did the video, 2 days ago on him, he is a problem. He's 23 years old, 24 years old. Another really, really young guy, and someone's going to pay him. Someone's going to pay him a lot of money. Now, I'm praying it's not the Dodgers, because if they replace Max Muncy and like Tommy Edman with Murakami, I'm gonna be real upset. I'm gonna be really, really upset. But having Masa there, maybe there's a little bit of leverage where they can have a conversation like, hey, they will love you in Fenway. And I did mention this in the video. He plays first and third. He can play both. He's also a lefty bat, and he hits for a lot of power. The walks are an issue. He does not walk at a clip that is really...
Roman Anthony will walk for him, though. It's okay.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing. Hey, Roman will get a translator. Hey, watch me. Do what I do.
I walked at like an 80% clip last year, buddy. Just watch.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I have the best eye in baseball, and I'm 21. You can definitely do it. Like,
also, he'll have ABS, which, I mean, I know it's a swing heavy is why he hasn't walked, but maybe having ABS could help him in a little way.
I could see how that could definitely be a thing.
Especially if Casas stays around and helps him, and like they could kind of be, for a little bit. Obviously, Casas won't be ready right away at the start of the season. Is kind of the reports we're getting. Maybe you keep him around for a little bit until the trade deadline, and Casas is also a very good guy to walk. So there's some ways to help out with the walks, which is the one problem with him.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be really interesting if the Boston. I feel like Boston's at a crossroads. I feel like, and I had this conversation in the video. I feel like it's an outsider looking in. And again, I have a good idea of what's going on. Like I follow the Red Sox. I keep up to date with everything that I possibly can. It kind of feels like they are either going one way or the other with Schwarber and then Murakami. And I don't like that idea because, yes, they're both left-handed bats, both hit for power, but one plays two positions in the infield, and one of the positions the Red Sox desperately need help with, and that's first base. I could see how that could be a great benefit if they go out there and get Murakami. I just don't know what that market value is really going to look like if they decide to go out there and pay him. And
Yeah.
that'll be really, really intriguing to see.
It's always the question mark with Japanese players when they come over. What's the money gonna look like? Because you can't go off of Shohei, who is the one Japanese player that has wholeheartedly worked out in the past 10 years. I think if you look back, I mean, you want to go back farther, you can get some names up there. I mean, Koji Uehara in terms of pitchers, Junichi Chuzawa back a long time ago. I mean, there's guys on the pitching staff that the Red Sox have had that have worked out, and they've had some bats too. But Masa in the past decade has been the Japanese bat they've gone after, and in a lot of
Yeah.
ways been the Japanese bat that has come over. And I know people want to talk about Hae-Sung Kim. I'm telling you, he's South Korean, I think, but either way, he's been arguably the best bat to come over from Japan, not including Shohei. I really
Y-
do believe that. And so if Murakami is better and in that fashion, you can kind of go to Masa and, like you said, use it as somewhat of a leverage. First of all, to ask Masa, you played with this guy in the World Baseball Classic. His stats were not good in the World Baseball Classic. Was that because of the MLB pitchers he was facing? Or was it just a higher stage that he hadn't played on before and he was 23 years old? Is that like you can
Right.
kind of talk to Masa about that? So I like the idea of Munetaka Murakami, especially because, like you mentioned, he plays two positions, and
Yep.
it allows for us to finally go to the point that we had after trading Rafael Devers. We can have a really good defensive player and players to kind of rotate with Alex Bregman because he's 31 and has played a bunch in his career. You can put Marcelo Meyer at third if Bregman needs a day off and make Bregman the DH. You can put Murataka Murakami as your main first baseman, and he bats lefty. And if you're facing a righty pitcher and you keep Tristan Casas for the time being, then you could move Murataka to third for a little bit and play Casas, and then you have two lefty bats. So it's an intriguing situation to where you can look at him and see a lot of positives. But I'm curious. We know how much Craig Breslow likes the model. What does the model say about Murakami? By the way, a pause in the action. 3-3, by the way, now. Blue Jays, Mariners. Blue Jays are getting after Logan Gilbert right now. They got first and third with 2 outs.
I'm glad he has a full count and he's
He's
just staying alive. Yeah, he's just staying alive.
Oh,
Um,
strikeout or ground out.
it's gonna be interesting. I will say I use Spot Rack a lot. It gives you all the
Isn't it
contract
Spotrac?
breakdowns.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought I always called it
No, you're right.
Spotrac.
You're right. You're right. Spotrack. You're 100% right.
I was like,
Spotrack.
have I been saying this wrong?
No. Spotrack. They give you the market value for the AAV, which is intriguing because you get an idea of what everyone's going to be looking at, but it's not necessarily always accurate, as we all know. Like they got Schwarber at 24.9. Schwarber's I probably didn't make a little bit more than 29, or what was it, 27.9 this up and coming season, or 24.9, excuse me. I have to assume that Murakami is going to demand a little bit more money, and I whether
Does
it
he have an
is or not.
American agent? This is such a random question, but do we know his agent?
No, but I can.
Because
Uh,
it's always been said if you get an American agent, you're getting more money most of the time.
What are the odds? It's the.
Scott
I'm gonna go
Boras.
blank here. Yeah, I was gonna say, what are the odds it's Scott? What are
I'm
the odds
hoping
it's
it's
for?
not, because that was my worry. Is like, did Scott Boras get him? Because he's going to be the prized possession this offseason,
I'll tell you right
at
now.
least Japanese wise. Like he'll be the Roki Sasaki of this year.
I don't think we have an answer.
I was about to say it's something that I don't really know, and I don't know if we could even find if we looked it up. So I just was
Yeah,
I didn't know
I'm not finding
if anybody
anything
can look
about
that
it.
up and gets the answer. You will get a solid high five from me.
Yes, and double that up because I'll give you one too. It's going to be really interesting where the Red Sox sit now is very interesting. But what move they decide to really start their offseason with, I feel like is really going to tell us. And I feel like I'm going to jinx it now because I feel like if they go out there and make a big signing, whether it's Joe Ryan, Schwarber, Murakami, or whoever, or Cody Bellinger, whoever it may be.
Cody Bellinger is a word. I've heard about him, but I didn't think we were going to talk. I don't like him. I don't like him as a Red Sox.
I don't know. I love the fact that he can hit lefties as a lefty. I love the fact that he can play left or right or first base for that matter. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's so
I
many
don't see
options
him.
for the Red Sox. Which direction they go in is going. We need to know what we're doing with Casas. That's the number one thing in my opinion. Because when we have an idea of, hey, we're going to bet on Casas again. If we hear that there's someone is going to be strictly a platoon option until Casas can return and then be there for the situational matchup. And it's going to be another right-handed bat. And
Let's go
that's
back to the
not
Mariners topic. Forget signing Josh Naylor, sign Munataka, and then trade Casas. And hey, come play with Masataka Yoshida. Thanks for signing with us. We're trading Masa away now.
Yeah, so it's something I thought. Like, do they use him as leverage to get him in the door? And the second he gets there, they turn around and then send Masa for any goods they can get.
That's
Like,
the hard part.
I don't.
I also Masa's a lot older than Munataka, so I don't know how
Yes,
much their connection is actually like friendship wise. I know they know each other. I was playing with the World Baseball Classic and having interactions through the NPB and all that stuff, but I'm not fully sold on him being like, oh, I'm gonna come to Boston because they have Masa. Like that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if that's something I would truly believe in, but I think a lot of
yeah,
it hinges on Alex Bregman. I think that's ultimately the conversation. You talk about the first move that they're gonna make. It's really Alex Bregman, and that tells us so much because if they're aggressively going after Bregman, if it's not, what was it, March this year when they finally got him to sign? I mean,
yeah,
it was late in the game.
yeah,
So if they go after and get him early, or if he signs somewhere else early, or whatever happens, that's gonna I think be a real topic as to what the Red Sox are kind of looking at to do this off season. I mean, you can look at the second half numbers and know they're not good. You can understand them. You can also see that he came off an injury that he had back in 2019 that really kind of took off his, or 2022 rather, that really derailed that season as well. So given he did not look 100% from that injury on the rest of the year, maybe a full year of him sitting and then staying with the same organization. Obviously, there's going to be a contract negotiation if he does opt out, but staying with the same organization, leaving a little less stress on that, he'll be able to ramp up in the way he's going to want to, and he can come back more healthy than maybe he was the entire season this year. Like, that is a legitimate possibility for him to come back and be that first half Alex Bregman before the injury.
The Money Mike said Casey Close is the agent for Murakami. I don't mean to
Is
jump
he?
around, but I
No,
just
you're
saw
good.
it.
Is he? Well, I popped up his picture anyway. Is Casey American? I think he.
Yeah, he is American former baseball player and sports agent.
Who does he represent? That'll really help us. Sports
I tell you
agent.
what, he's on
Ryan
the Forbes
Howard,
list.
Kershaw, Greinke, a lot of pitchers. Josh Hamilton. Josh
Very
Hamilton's the
in-
one to look at.
Yeah, that dude was Superman.
And he got a pretty
Growing up,
decent
at least.
contract. Okay, so it is an
He's
American
a
agent.
Michigan guy.
Yeah, an American agent. I definitely think that truly does mean that he will, he'll get a little more money. Which, by the way, what's his name? Money Mike Madness. There's a solid high five, man.
Oh,
Good job finding that.
Jace, you know who Casey Close is?
He's a pitcher,
Casey
isn't he?
Close was the man representing Freddie Freeman when he went from Atlanta to L.A. and then was fired. Oh my God, I didn't realize that. That's who that is.
Okay, we might actually get Munataka. We might get him for a decent price. Whoa. Okay. Okay.
I didn't realize that. Thank you, Money
Yeah.
Mike.
Thank you. You're great.
Yeah, because that's wild.
Excel
That
sports
is
management. Yeah. Okay. So And I think
That's
we go back here. I think the contract's going to sit somewhere at about 30 million
for Bregman, you're
for
speaking, or
for
for Murakami?
Munetaka. I think it
Yeah,
might. I
okay.
think it might go to 30. Like I think baseline, given his stats and the way that they're going to ask for it, they'll start with I think 25 is like the minimum amount you're going to have to pay him. And it might be a 3-4 year deal, but I think it's going to be a pretty decent amount given his ranks in NPB baseball history. And then in that same light, going back to some of the guys we've talked about in the contract they've had, and be like, listen, he's better than them, and they got this money, and each year the price tags go up on contracts. So
Yeah, the money is just fictional with baseball,
yeah,
and it's crazy to think about. So 30 seems. I feel like the starting line's 30. You said the starting line might be 25. I think it's going to be 30 because of how
the
like
reason I
some of
say
these.
25 is just because his performance in the World Baseball Classic was abysmal. Like it was
I,
not
I,
good.
I understand. I do. But the leverage of like he won a triple crown at 22 or 23, whatever it was. He hit for power. He hit what was he hit in 56 games, he hit like 18 or 20 something home runs. Like he would there was a stretch there before he got injured in his last season over in Japan where he looked like that triple crown season. Like he looked legit. And I feel like the upside is what you're going to be sold on. And because of the amount of teams that are going to have the conversation, we all have to understand this is not a two-way street in the sense of the Red Sox and Murakami. Like that's not
It's not how
it's going to be
baseball works.
Murakami, the Red Sox, and 18 plus other teams that are going to look into possibly acquiring this young man.
And teams that
And
have billions of Japanese players, Dodgers.
yeah, exactly. And the idea of, hey, we'll give you 30 for 5 years, 6 years, whatever, because he is still young, take care of that, like take
How
care of
old is
that
he right
guy.
now? Is he 25 yet?
He's I think he's 25.
Because I knew he was like 22, 23 when the World Baseball Classic happened, so I didn't know what his age was. And I think he's worth 6 years no matter what his age is. I mean, even if it gets up to his 31, 32-year season. But I don't know. If he is 25 or above, I think that limits the Red Sox in the years they're going to give him just based off Craig Breslow's history.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't know for sure. Like, we don't
I
really
think it's
know
a
how
big,
they view Murakami, to be honest.
yeah,
That's the
and I
hard
think
part.
that's going to be a lot of the open. We're going to learn a lot in like the
He's
opening days of
25,
free
yeah.
agency.
February 2nd,
Y-
2000. So he'll be 26 by the season starts.
Right. Right. I think in the opening weeks, literally the opening weeks of the free agency, we're going to learn a lot about the market for Murakami and really how much everyone is going after him and what they're going to be willing to give him in the sense of years. I don't think we're going to get the exact dollar amount, but the idea of, hey, like teams are trying to get him for 5, 6, 7, or whatever it may be, however it may end up playing out, because one of these teams may like really bite the bait here and take the good and really buy high on Murakami and try to give him that 5, 6, 7, 8 year deal because of the age and because of the upside they saw over in Japan. Whether Boston goes in that direction is, again, going to come down to Alex Bregman and the entire situation that plays out amongst the Red Sox organization. And they're going to go from there. So the biggest in the first domino, which is going to play as the biggest domino, is going to be Alex Bregman in that situation entirely. And however that is handled, it is going to end up just it's just a domino effect for the rest of this offseason, whether it is in the starting pitching department or really any other sector where the Red Sox are looking to spend money in the sense of first base, and again, then replacing Bregman at third base, and if that's the way it plays out. And if they do have to replace Bregman, do they get desperate? Do they get really is there a
Do
bit
they
of
go after
just
Nolan again?
yeah, like there's a lot of routes, there's a lot of options, and because the level of play is so high really across the board, yes, youth is going to be a large factor in these conversations, and Murakami only being 25 is going to have a leg up. this is a big puzzle, and the first domino to fall is going to have to be Bregman, because if Bregman comes back, there's money then given away, and obviously it's going to be already put away in the sense that it's going towards Bregman. But then do they double down and say, hey, our pitch just changed? Remember that team you saw last year? Well, the biggest question mark is back, and he's not leaving. You want to play with us type of question? Hey, we have Yoshida. Like, there's a connection there. It's going to be very, very intriguing. I would love to see Murakami in a Red Sox jersey because of the versatility, playing third and first. Obviously, I don't think he'll play a lot of reps at third, especially if Bregman's there. But the ability to put him at first base and also have him move to that DH spot occasionally when, hey, we have Casas still, or we have XYZ as a possible platoon option at first base, I think things will work. And I think Romy Gonzalez will also be a part of this team next year.
Yeah,
and
he had
we
a
know
great
that
end of the season too.
Yeah, I think he will definitely be a part of the team, and I think that he will have the ability to then platoon at first base, like we saw last season. And he is such a hybrid, and he's so versatile. He can play first, he can play second, he can play in the outfield if you needed him to. That's going to be great for the Red Sox, and we know they love having the platoon option. It's something we heard about ad nauseum when every single game it felt like there was a constant platoon going on, whether it was short, second, first, in the outfield, because the Red Sox had 72 outfielders available to play last season. I think it's something they lean on, and I think it's something they go back to this up and coming year, where they rely on the platoon option, bearing a Murakami who steps in if this does happen. A part of the Red Sox steps in, and he is just flat out undeniably good. They go away from the platoon, but outside of that, I think we're going to see another.
I think even if
dual
you
threat
if you
option.
do sign him and you keep Tristan, or you don't keep Tristan rather, I still think you probably platoon him in some aspect, but platooning in the sense that he will play every day. It's just a question of whether he'll play first base every day, or if Romy will play first base and he'll DH, something
Right.
of that situation. Because Alex Cora has shown us year after year, platooning is the Red Sox. He loves platooning. He will do that until he is not a manager of a major league team anymore. That is the way he has managed, and we know that from the way we saw this season, even with the outfield at times, even with the beginning of the year, when Roman Anthony came up, he was still platooning him, even though how quickly that went away. But he was platooning the best prospect in baseball immediately when he came up, which, for better or for worse, worked out. But I think we, in some ways, have to go and look, and I think me and you both have been avoiding the conversation, and I think it's a good thing to finish out the show with. But what in the world do you do with Jarren Duran, Wilyer, Abreu, this outfield? Like, before we talk about the two players, I think it's important for us to do this. If in your opinion you get 5 outfielders next year, who are they? And you can make trades. You could do if you had to pick your best 5 outfielders, who would they be? Because that's how many Red Sox have kept over the past couple years. Is 5. They had 6 at some points this year, but 5 is the normal.
Yes. Say Don is in center.
Yes.
And I'm willing to take the chance on the bat, because there was a stretch there for about 10 days to 2 weeks. And I know that's not a lot of time.
The 10-game win streak specifically.
Yes, specifically. But when, say, Don can pull the ball in the air, and I know that seems so elementary, such an elementary way to say it, but it was, Lou said it on the broadcast over and over and over again. And then an at bat went by, and what happened? Cedon got a pitch, inner half. He got his hands to it. He pulled the ball in the air, and he hit it 800 feet over over the monster.
He hit it over Lansdowne Street. That's on the highway. That is not Lansdowne. That is over that. That is parking garage over it.
Yeah, the bat potential is there, and it's not there out of just being a hopeful fan. And I know hope is not a plan, and I understand that. But what we have seen from Cedon defensively, we don't even have to mention it. He's the best defensive center fielder in the game of baseball.
And we tried to play him second and short.
Yeah, and I understand. Listen, I love versatility. I love when you have the ability to be versatile and move these guys around and be good in these spots, regardless of who's in that position on that day. But he can't come out of center. That just can't happen. He makes outrageous plays every single time it feels like he gets the opportunity to. Now, For the other two positions, I don't even want to have this conversation. Roman is not going anywhere. Now, DH, I'm not opposed to it. Roman is very young. He just turned 21, right? He
just turned 21. He'll turn 22 next year.
Right.
And he's locked up. He has a contract now. It's not like they're gonna
he's
take his value down.
Yeah, he's going nowhere. He'll be in a Red Sox jersey, hopefully for the entirety of his career.
It better be. We've made that mistake one too many times in the past 10 years.
Yeah,
I need a Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz like player. I know David didn't start his career here, but I need that type of contract and player in my team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So Roman's there. Now Roman will go from DH to right field. I'm okay with that. Roman, outside of literally his first game in Fenway Park where he didn't get the glove down to the ground and the ball rolled all the way to the wall, and it was just a disastrous of a moment in the moment. If this
tells you anything, he had 8 runs saved in the limited time he had in this season.
It was more than Jarren Duran. Better. It got so much better after that first blemish of a play where he didn't get the glove to the ground and it rolled all the way wall. Like he at that point he just turned 21. He could barely even drink legally in the United States, and he's starting in right field for the Boston Red Sox in Fenway Park. Like, that is not just hey, we're playing baseball today. Like that is big. Fenway Park is like the oldest park in baseball. It's one of the most nostalgic. It is Fenway Park. Roman is one of them. Again, you have the ability to move him to DH. So, to the question at hand, Wilyer and Duran. I don't want to see either of them go. But I think out of the two, there's a better chance Jarren is on the move. And the reason I say that is because of the ability to move him for more value. Now, Wilyer offensively is streaky. We would both agree with that. But when he is on, he's terrifying to pitch to because he hits for outlandish power. He can find a gap. And he's not as fast as Jarren Duran. I'm not making that argument. But he has the ability to get on the bases and move around them.
His arm is also a plus, which is something Jarren
he has a rocket launcher attached to his left shoulder. It's amazing how hard he can throw a baseball from the outfield. It really is. Jarren, the arm is not up to the level of Wilyer. The speed surpasses basically all but maybe 10 players in the league, and that's being I might be stretching things. Like, that's the league in its entirety. There's thousands of players, and like the only names that you would say are faster than Jarren
Chandler
are like
Simpson, Denzel Clark, like top tier fast players.
Like those guys, like Bobby Witt. I guess that foot race would be very close.
I honestly think he'll be close with Bobby. Ellie's got long legs, but I think Bobby and him are probably good comparables.
Yeah, Ellie's 9 feet tall. Like his stride, he takes 2 strides. He's at second base. Like you're racing a robot at that point.
Yeah, that's unfair.
If Jarren could have just produced a little bit more in the end of that season, maybe even one big swing in the wild card, this conversation is drastically different. I think you're going to agree with that. I don't want to see any of them go because I love all of them and I think they're great pieces and they fit in well, but they're all left-handed. Outside of Cedon, they're all left-handed. And you didn't get the production you were really looking for from Jarren in those late stages, in those high leverage moments. And if you were to move him, I believe the trade package coming back would be a lot more valuable than if you were to move Wilyer.
Especially if you go to the Padres. They've been trying to get Jarren for 5 years, I feel like.
Yeah, I really and truly think the Padres were watching different film. I think they were just watching the All-Star MVP highlights over and over and over again. And which, credit to them. They're building
their
something
offer
out
was
there.
never accepted. So maybe their offers weren't good, but they wanted him more than any other team on the planet. Even more than the Red Sox, I think, like legitimately.
Yeah, they were really itching to get Jarren Duran in a Padres jersey, and I don't blame them. It's Jarren Duran. Like, I get it. I do. I watched him play for the Red Sox. His ability to hit is good. It's not great, but damn, his ability to get on base and then move around the bases, his ability to turn singles into doubles and doubles into triples and triples into inside the park home runs. He is a bombshell with a fuse that is this big, and if it goes off and he can light that fuse, he's in that conversation of one of the better players on the planet. And I know it's like you say that. He does. Like when he's on and we're not talking 45 plus home runs. We're talking 20 home runs. but he's getting on base at like I'm thinking average here, like average when it comes to the bat, like 280, 285, and then he's stealing 25 to 40 bags a year
And when he
because
gets
then he's
on, he's
getting on
going to
base more
third
with a
a
higher
lot.
average.
He's getting triples. He's led the league in doubles and triples a couple times in
Yeah,
months.
like and you put him in Fenway Park where he can use the monster, he can use that big right center field gap. Like we know the good that can come from that. And I think if the Red Sox can just unlock the offensive ability, I don't think he goes anywhere. And I'll throw it to you after this. Just this last thing. Breslow made that comment about how much he means to this Red Sox team, and they don't want to see this team without him in one of those jerseys. I don't know if they move him. I don't know. But in this position, it seems like he would be the most favorable to move. Again, I don't want to see him moved. I want to see that guy in a Red Sox jersey forever. And I'm not going to compare him to guys like Ellsbury and Pedroia, but that's kind of the feeling I get from him. Like the type of aura he gives off and the character he maintains and just the mentality of like, yeah, I'm not the biggest dude in the world in the sense of height. The dude's built like a damn bodybuilder and he runs like a cheetah. Like he's awesome to watch.
They got the muscles on the bobblehead. Like this guy is a
Yeah,
truck.
like, and that's not an exaggeration there. Like he is, there's a reason they did that. But yeah, let me know. I can't give you that answer yet because I'm gonna think about it.
So I'll
I'll,
give
I'll
you
think
mine.
about
Maybe
it and
this can
see if
help
there's
you.
a trade.
So in my mind, this is the most likely option that people are going to suggest. Is that the outfield consists of one of these five: Ceddanne Rafaela, Roman Anthony. I think those two are non-negotiable, and I think we hit that on the head, and we don't need to talk too much about that anymore. Those two are
Yes.
going to be here. They're going to stay here. They both have contracts. I think Ceddanne, for the value he's giving you, is actually on a good contract. Like, people want to talk
Great.
about his bat, like, cool, but I'd pay him the money we're giving him for the defense. He could hit 200 the rest of his career, or for the rest of that contract, and I'd still think it'd be a good contract. That's just the way I believe in him. He's also fast and can be versatile if needed. Roman
Yep.
is Roman. Don't need to say much about that. Past that is where I maybe take a veering for a different route. I mentioned a little bit earlier that Alex Bregman did not look healthy through the entirety of the season once he got injured. There
Sure.
was one other player who did not look the same after he got injured. A player who legitimately could have been Rookie of the Year if he had potentially not got injured. A player who won Rookie of the Month. A player who was banished to AAA. I think Christian Campbell belongs in this conversation, and I think the Red Sox see him as a left fielder long term. I really think they do. And so in that light, there's three players right now that are under contract, first of all, that are young, and that they like the intangibles of. Maybe Christian Campbell doesn't start the year in the major leagues. I think truly last year the reason he started was because he was willing to accept the contract, and Roman Anthony at the time wasn't, and they weren't looking at Marcelo long term at the time.
Right.
Past that is where if you're looking at five outfielders, you're not going to have your back two outfielders be Wilyer, Abreu, and Jarren Duran because that is wasting talent and wasting assets. You're not going
Right.
to keep those two on the bench, whether they play DH on and off or not. You keep one of those guys even in this situation because odds are Christian Campbell is not going to start in the major leagues. And then past that, Rob Refsnyder is a free agent. He wanted to retire last year, so I'm not going to include him in this just because if he wanted to retire and now he's a free agent, I don't really see. Maybe the Red
Yeah.
Sox give him enough to stay, but I don't want to include him because he wasn't that good at the end of the season anyway. In that situation, I love Jarren Duran. At the start of the season, he was my favorite player. Roman is probably taking over that slot specifically because I know he's here. I know he's
Yeah.
going to be here long term. And to avoid getting my heart broken like I have in the past from the Red Sox, I have not distanced myself, but not looked at Jarren Duran from an unbiased perspective. And the series that he had in New York, I'm not putting this lightly, could be the reason the Red Sox are not playing right now, or at least did not get to go to Toronto. That catch was a
The
catch
bat
that I
against
believe he
Fried.
should have made. The bat was terrible. Specifically that one, the bat against Fried, which I know we won that game, but still. There's just
That
too many
was
times
brutal.
where I looked at him and thought, you don't look like you are here mentally. You don't look like you are
Yeah.
here in a positive light. And so when I look at this outfield, if I have to pick five people, I think I'm going to put Ceddanne in center, Roman in right, or Roman in left, and Wilyer in right. as my main 3 outfielders day in and day out. I think I'm going to bring Christian Campbell up so I can, in that case, put Christian Campbell knowing he's a right-handed bat, right? Am I tripping here? He's right-handed, right?
Christian Campbell?
Yeah, is he right-handed or is he
yeah. Bats right, throws right. Yep.
That's what I thought. I was like, I want to make sure, but because I haven't seen him.
It's been a while.
Exactly.
Been a while
I'm
since
like,
we've seen
it's
him.
been a bit, but you can platoon him in left field where Roman can still play, but he'll DH,
Yep.
and you can put him there. And then at that point, you have your 2 backup outfielders, which or rather 1 backup outfielder as like a last minute option. And from there on out, you don't make that Jarren Duran. You make that a Romy Gonzalez who can, you can stick him in anywhere of a lot of plays. He's a guy who can play. You have that backup outfielder of Masataka Yoshida if you really need him. You have Nate Eaton if you want to play him. Like, you don't keep Jarren Duran as your 5th outfielder. And as much as I love Jarren Duran, as much as I want him to be on the Red Sox, as much as I want him to be a factor, if I look at this from an unbiased perspective, I think the best outfield is Cedon in center, Wilyer in right, Roman in left, and Christian Campbell platooning to try and be here because he's going to be here for 5 years. He's going to be here for 5 years. Jarren Duran, time in and time out, has gone to arbitration, and the Red Sox have told him basically, we don't want you long term. We do not plan to sign you long term. Our outfield is consistently under the age of 25 years old, besides Jarren Duran, who is 29. He is loved by Trevor Story. He is loved by Rob. He is loved by this organization. Last year, there was a quote from Alex Cora that said, if you want to play baseball, you should aspire to play it like Jarren Duran. And I don't know if that's true anymore. And that's where I sit and I look at Jarren and I look at Wilyer. And I'm picking Wilyer. As much as I don't want to, I would 100% rather pick Jarren. I'm picking Wilyer. And so in that contest, I really don't see how in this situation Jarren Duran stays with the Red Sox next year. And in that light, I think I asked the question to you of if the Twins come a-calling and say, Joe Ryan's available, but we're going to need a Jarren Duran and a prospect. Or
a prospect?
Prospects, okay. But one prospect. You know what I mean? Like how we gave Chase Mydroth. Like, I don't really care about Chase Mydroth, but I cared about Kyle Teal. I cared about Braden Montgomery.
They want one top-ish guy and then someone later down the line. Yeah.
Or I've also heard potential, and we made a video on this, that Marcelo Meyer could be the main piece in the Twins because he's younger and it fits well with the Twins timeline. So I'm thinking the Twins, if we do go to them, their first statement will be, okay, we want Jarren Duran, we want Marcelo Meyer, and we want who's the guy? David Sandlin. I mean, he's a pretty top prospect, but I don't know how he fits. So in that situation, I think they go high. I think they would be willing to take a Jarren Duran, a David Sandlin, and prospect later. We know we offered them the password, John Hingston Garcia, and they did not seem interested in him. I don't know what you do with the password because I don't think he fits in this organization. So maybe you throw him in there as well. And he's younger, so maybe it's the deal of you give them Marcelo, John Hingston, and somebody else. But when I talk about this trade, I truly think I'm looking at this and I care more about keeping Marcelo than I care about keeping Duran.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is a weird thing because I didn't think I would say that. I legitimately did not think I would say that even a month ago, 2 months ago. But when I look at the outside perspective right now, I would rather have Marcelo Meyer over Jarren Duran in a trade form. So,
oh man, I hate saying this for 2 reasons. One, I hate that I agree with you.
It sucks. I know it really does.
I hate that.
We've had conversations in chats and on stuff like this ad nauseum about how much we all love Jarren Duran. But I think if we have to look at this from a Craig Breslow mindset and a baseball mindset and a non-biased GM mindset, I don't see him being the piece. Yeah, exactly.
And so here's the thing. Back to the original proposed hypothetical. Duran and Marcelo can't be packaged together for Joe Ryan.
Correct. I agree. That's what they're going to ask. My thing was that's what I believe that they're going to come and ask for. Or like,
right. Okay.
I think the price will go down. I think they don't expect to get that. But we know in these situations when the Red Sox want Joe Ryan as much as I believe they do, they're going to put a high price on him originally. So I want to throw it out there because there might be rumors floating around this offseason that Jarren Duran and Marcelo Meyer are the trade package that the Twins expect. And I will let you know right now the Red Sox will not accept that, and the price will go down once it gets closer to the start of the season. But once the season ends, whenever that World Series bell dings, whatever, I think the first offer the Twins are going to expect will include both those guys.
I think Duran's going to do a lot in the sense of if Breslow starts calling around and he lets it be known to all of the MLB, Duran is available. I think that conversation is going to be so lucrative for all of these teams. And they're back to thinking like a business. Everyone's going to try to win the transaction in one way or another. And could you make the argument of acquiring Duran regardless of what you're giving up in a reasonable sense, like Paul Skeens for Jarren Duran straight up? It's not going to happen. Or Skubal, like in a reasonable sense, like
Jarren Duran got a year left on his deal. Let's try the Tigers. Let's go. How about give Skubal and Marcelo or Duran and Marcelo for Skubal. You got 1 year left on his contract. We'll extend him. I think let's do that.
Now, if you want to have the conversation, I'm willing. At Detroit, AJ Hinge, but oh man, if Duran's moved, they have to. If they move Duran,
you have to get a 2. You have to get a starting pitcher number 2. That's what must be in there, or a legitimate first baseman.
And what first baseman would they trade for? They couldn't. It'd have to be a pitcher. It'd have to be a pitcher.
The options are starting pitcher number 2 or a legitimate first baseman, which there are none of on the trade block. So that means the pitcher's expectation, to me, the way that Duran has moved is Joe Ryan. I always like to say that, and I don't know if this is true, that we're not wrong. We're just early. And I truly believe in this situation it's going to be right, because I look at the MLB from a holistic perspective, and I don't see a trade out there that the Red Sox make that fits better than Jarren Duran, 2 prospects on top of him, 1 prospect, as we said, for Joe Ryan. He has little amounts of time left on his contract. I believe he has a 2027 option, so technically like 1 to 2 years.
Right.
In that sense, I don't see a number 2 pitcher out there that is worth that trade. Maybe if who's the Freddie Peralta, if he becomes available, maybe he's an option, because we know the Brewers don't like to extend their guys, and Peralta's coming up on the same year that was the year that they traded Josh Hader and the year they traded Devin Williams. So if they're not planning on signing him back, maybe that becomes an option. But looking at like the pieces that we've talked about on the show and trades that could happen, Joe Ryan's the guy that I see the best fit, and the only guy that in some ways I'm willing to give up Duran for.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm trying to just think like who, because they have.
Do I still have the graphics? I had a whole list of like people.
It would have to be one of the Mariners guys, or and I mean, when I say that, I mean not Luis Castillo.
It'd be Logan Gilbert. I think I'd have to be Logan Gilbert or Brian Wu. Because those are the 2 young ones.
Kirby even.
Or Kirby's, I like Kirby, but he's a little older than me. I don't know what his contract's like. Let me go look it up.
So those 3 guys I would throw out there.
Kirby's 27, so he's a little older. What's his contract like?
Oh man. Did you have 1 year deal? Age? What about?
He's on a 1 year deal.
I'm gonna throw a name out there.
So he's
I'm gonna throw a name out there, and I don't think it's even remotely possible. But I'm gonna throw a name out there. Hunter Brown.
I thought about him. I really do, because the Astros didn't make the playoffs. Yep. He was a really good pitcher. We know the Astros' problem with paying people. We've seen that with Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman and people in the past. I don't, in that situation, I don't know if Duran is enough. Like, I think that they would expect Duran and Franklin Arias.
Yeah.
Your top prospect down there.
They're going to want,
they may not ask for Marcelo, because, Jeremy Pena's great, but Franklin Arias, they can pop to a second baseman right now and be good with. Or even a third baseman.
He's only, 19?
Yeah, I think he just turned 20, so he's young enough they could move him. He's also athletic. They could put him in the outfield over time if they'd like to. I'm looking at trade
God,
candidates. I just want to talk about like
what
who
an
could be traded.
intriguing conversation. Christian
So
Vasquez for backup catcher option or promote Nathan Hickey. I'm just reading chat here.
yeah, I like Connor Wong. That may be an unpopular opinion. I think as a catcher number 2, he's good. I saw the question earlier about we need a backup catcher. Connor Wong is a dang good backup catcher. Dude batted 300 a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's a reason that Brayan Bello
he literally hit 290.
Yeah, like I don't mind Connor Wong. If I'm looking at backup catchers, I don't see anybody that's good enough besides guys you should have signed last offseason or traded for last offseason, like Sean Murphy or who's the catcher for the Cubs that the Red Sox were in on that had a really good year?
Not Carson. Kelly. He's too young.
No, we were in on him.
Okay. He had a freak year. He had a few runs where it was just.
So just to put it out here, here's potential trade candidates pitching wise. Joe Ryan and Freddie Peralta are your number 1 and number 2 options because Peralta is in that Brewers year where they may choose to move him. Sandy Alcantara, I don't know if I'm sold on him enough to move Jarren. I think I can get better personally if I'm offering him up to the majors or to everybody.
The Marlins are hilarious. That conversation at the deadline where they're like, "Yeah, we'll answer your call," and then it was like, "Well, what's the price?" And it's like, "Well, you're gonna pay for a Cy Young."
Are we?
What?
Dude hasn't been that.
but then the changeup worked, and then he started absolutely dominating. And then all the Marlins were just like, I told you you're paying for a Cy Young. I thought that was hilarious the way that played out.
The last 2 guys are Mitch Keller, and then one that I actually might be a little bit more open to giving Duran to, and I think it might be one that this team would, Mackenzie Gore.
Okay, I'll have that conversation. I will have that conversation. We might have too many lefties at that point, but Mackenzie Gore's a freak, and he's young. He's a lefty, and he has the ability to really be a guy. I'm high on Gore myself. I like
Mackenzie. Yeah.
As a baseball fan, like I'm very, very high on Mackenzie Gore. And when the conversation of him possibly being available to deadline, I thought it was all propaganda, but allegedly like Washington was open to the call. Like obviously the price tag was absurd, and it should have been, especially in that scenario where all these teams are leveraged, where if you need starting pitching, I got a guy. You're going to pay for this guy a little bit more than you probably should. Yeah, I like the idea of Gore. Man, could you imagine how many good lefties? Crochet, Gore, Early, Tolley, like, oh man, that'd be a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a lot of fun.
If you can keep Lucas Giolito, then you still have 2 righties with Bello and Giolito as your starting 5. And
correct.
you could spread them out.
Would come back too.
Correct, and you could spread them out where you have Crochet go 1. I know that Mackenzie Gore said they'd be a 2, but you could pitch Bello as the 2 still, just to separate right and left. Have Gore be the 3. Have Giolito be the 4, and be the 5 be Conley.
Yeah.
And then you have Peyton Tolley and Hunter Dobbins who can come out of the pen. Both a righty and a lefty there that you're adding from last season.
Absolutely. Money Mike says Duran in package for Skeen, Skubal, or Kirby. So here's
Kirby's
the thing.
The only option.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would love for any of those guys to be in a Red Sox jersey. But for us to get Paul Skeens, we'd have to move Roman, Duran, and Marcelo. And I don't even know if they would budge on it, even though Bob Nutting needs to be revoked of his job, in my opinion. How they don't try to build around that poor guy. If he's not in another jersey outside of Pittsburgh before he decides to go to the Army, I'm gonna be really, really, really upset.
Besides he goes to the Army.
He's on record saying he's
I know
doing
he.
the Army thing.
I know he is, but it's just like I don't know.
The idea
I expect him to get he's gonna go to free agency and get a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract for like ridiculous amounts of money, and then he'll do 2 years in the Army, and then he'll come back. Like that's what I see from his future. But if he gets traded early, then can sign an extension. But just because we're here, let's have a quick baseball conversation on Skeens before we end this. I think for Skeens, He has to be traded. I think this should be the first time it'll be history that Rob Manfred goes to the the Pirates and say trade him.
I agree.
If he pitches, I will say it's an illegal use and I will forfeit the game for you.
Yeah.
You have to trade him.
You know what's funny? And just to add to that, I couldn't agree more. And it seems crazy. It seems just like us just brainstorming crazy ideas. Please get him out of Pittsburgh.
They're not going to spend any money. They legit cut people this season because they were getting close to extension or contract bonuses. They cut people. Literally,
that's why Skeen's
who's the guy on the Jays?
Count.
Who's the guy on the Jays that's doing well? They had it was with the Pirates. He's got 3 names.
Isaiah
Kiner-Falefa. IKF.
Yeah.
He literally had a contract negotiation in which he played a certain amount of games, he would get a bonus. The day before he got that bonus, they cut him.
Yep.
This should be illegal. Forget Phantom IL. This should be illegal.
I couldn't agree more. 2 things. First thing, and we don't have to dive all the way in this conversation because we'll be here for another 4 hours. Manfred talked about not only the realigning of divisions and conferences, but he also discussed the idea of a salary cap. Will that happen in baseball? Every single person who has talked about this has hated it as a player, just to put that out there. Bryce Harper may have been the most fired up I have ever seen him. Dude was more pissed about a salary cap than any call I've ever seen. And the reports
of him approaching
Manfred in the locker room or in the clubhouse were great. But the reason I bring this up is throw that in the garbage, Manfred. What you need to do, and I'm not saying this as a biased Red Sox fan because it wouldn't even affect this Red Sox
I think I know what you're about to say, and I agree.
Or the years going. Implement a minimum, a yearly minimum. If your team doesn't hit the minimum in spending dollars during the free agency period or at any point you put deadlines on it, so they have to meet these deadlines, and there has to be money spent. The Marlins, I am from South Florida. I was born in West Palm Beach. I've lived here for 25 years. I tried so hard to be a Marlins fan, and they went from the Florida Marlins to the Miami Marlins, and they lost me because the jerseys suck, everything, the organization downhill with Jeter.
Jeter runs it.
Oh, my God. Implement a minimum. 3-run shot from Polanco. This guy is the greatest player of all time.
Oh, my gosh.
Implement a minimum. Pittsburgh needs help. Bob Nutting is not going to do anything, and Paul Skeens is going to live out a career where he has a sub-2 ERA every single year, bearing an injury. Hope to God it doesn't happen. He's going to be the best pitcher in the NL every single year, and it's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be who came in second and third in the NL Cy Young, and that's awesome. That's great to have in baseball. But not when he goes out there and he's what do he go? What do you go? 6 and 12 this year? 8 and
something abysmal.
Oh,
for the ERA he had, it's stupid.
Bring him to Boston. If you don't want to pay him, let him walk, please, Manfred. Please help this young man.
Make him a free agent this year. Do it. Just do it.
Just go get Alonso. Go get Cody Bellinger. There's so many names out there. And yes, you bring them into Pittsburgh, and everyone would think they woke up from a coma, and it's 50 years down the line because they wouldn't believe the names on the Pittsburgh roster. And I understand
they have Andrew McCutchen.
He's 40.
Let him retire.
Oh, my God.
Let him retire.
Please implement a minimum. Salary cap floor, absolutely. Red Sox diehard. Yeah, you can call it a floor. You can call it a minimum. You can call it whatever you want. But holy crap, help out these guys that are just dying slow deaths in organizations that don't, I won't say the organization doesn't care, but the guy at the top does not care. The salary cap is never going to happen, okay? And if you think it will, tell me how you're going to restructure, not even the team, the entire MLB.
If they get the salary cap.
Tell me how you're going to restructure the Dodgers pay scale for the next 2 seasons.
Here's what's going to happen.
Not just the up-and-coming season. They have $1 billion in deferred money. What? It's not going to happen.
The only way that it's possible is if they do the expansion at the same time.
Even if they do the expansion, were they going to scrap all of the money that's already on the books?
I mean, the deferred money's still there, and the Dodgers might be screwed forever. But you'd be forced. You're gonna force the hand of the people who have the big contracts and say, "Hey, We got a salary minimum, and there is 3 teams over here that is happy to take your players that you don't want. You can either let them be drafted away from you, or you can give them to us right now, and we will take you out of the draft order for the first 3 rounds or whatever. That's a way.
Dude, yeah, you're
It's
right.
not going to happen, but it's. I guarantee you, knowing how dumb Rob Manfred has been, that's how he would implement it. He would say, "All right, we're going to do a salary cap, and we're going to expand it in the same year, so that way these teams who have, like you said, billion-dollar funds and teams that would not fit under the salary cap, they would say, okay, we have the Pirates, who you can give these players to, and we have 2 brand new teams in Nashville and in Orlando or in Austin or wherever they put the other team, and say you have to give some of your players to them. And if you want to give us a player to help your salary cap, we will take you out of the draft for the first round or 2, whatever it may be, how many players you give.
Right.
And we'll put your name in the back, or like give you some sort of advantage. But I don't know. I think we go back to the final point here is just out of the curiosity of my life, what would a Red Sox trade have to be to get Skeens, in your opinion?
Oh shit! Not one that I'm willing to see. I would love. Listen, I've had this conversation way more this year in the last like 5 months than I've ever thought I would, because the man that I work with he's older than he's in his 60s. He watched baseball his entire life. He watched all of the names that you can think of through the history of baseball. Like, he watched Bonds and McGuire's race and Sosa and all these guys, and he watched all this elite level pitching. And he says that he basically echoes the same conversation we just had. Like, please help him. Get him out of Pittsburgh. And then we have the conversation of, hey, if someone actually did call and this was proposed and there was actually trades being like looked through and brought up and broken down, what would that look like? And we like go back to just like a reference. Like, the Yankees said they weren't going to give up the
Spencer Jones.
There you go. He was the only
The
guy
idiot.
they would consider trading him
Jason
for.
Dominguez 2.0.
Yeah, like, they were the only person they would even answer the phone for a trade involving Spencer Jones would have to have Paul Skeens on the other side of it, which is crazy because we haven't seen Spencer Jones do anything on the major league level. But like, if to get him in Boston, like, dude, I hate this. It would have to be, no joke, and I'm going to leave Roman out of it because he's already been taken care of, even though he would probably have to be in this trade. If we're calling it honestly, Marcelo, Jarren, and prospects either 1 through 5 or I'm not kidding you. Like, it would, and I'm assuming you would agree with it. It's going to be the most preposterous trade. Like, on paper, there's 8 names here that are being received by the Pirates, and there's 1 name here that's being received by the Red Sox.
I've thought about this a lot. Let me go pull up the prospect list just so I have the right people in mind. But you immediately start out by giving them Marcelo Meyer. That's a given. That's an easy one. Yeah. I don't think that's a question that you even implement. Past that, I think you have to give up one of, if not both, of Conley Early and Peyton Tolley. I think past that, you give them Franklin Arias. I think Jan Hingston Garcia goes as well. I truly think that's what it would cost, is you give them Marcelo, Tolley Early, Arias, and Password. And that's what? Tolley Early, Garcia, Marcelo, and who's the other guy I said?
Tolley, Garcia.
Tolley, Early, Password, Marcelo, and Arias.
And Arias, yeah, 5 guys.
So you're giving him your top 3 prospects. You're giving him Marcelo Meyer, who just graduated as one of your top 5 prospects.
Yeah.
And
was number 1 before Roman got there.
And you're giving up Conley Early, who is the 6th prospect. So you're giving up you're giving up 5 of your top 6 prospects, and you're one who was in the top 5 before. So,
and you know the worst part That's literally what
It would
like
take.
it would
That's what it would
like
be. That's what it would be.
that would literally be like that. And like saying that seems preposterous, especially if you see it on paper and you see those 5 names with their ranking in the prospect or in the farm system. No, and obviously Marcelo, like you said, wouldn't have one because he just graduated. Oh man, and you want to know the worst part? You want to know the worst part? Oh, Money Mike said include Hauk in the trade.
Just throw him in there.
Just get it. Just
Get him out of there.
The worst part, and I have faith in all of those guys. Like I do. Like, and I know some of them we haven't seen. A lot of them we haven't seen on the
I have
major league
faith,
level.
but I don't see how the password fits into the equation. Everybody else fits in. The password, I truly believe, needs to be traded. I love him, but he's not going to fit.
I agree. Tolley and Early. Oh man, it hurt. I hate saying this. Those two and Marcelo, we've seen on the major league level. We know the ability or the potential, at least, that we can hope for and really expect to see going forward for years down the line. Because again, they are very, very young guys. Like they are our age. Like they're young 20s, mid 20s at the oldest. Man, I don't even know. And again, with prefacing my comments with, I love these guys, not only because they're a part of the Red Sox, but because what we have seen already up to this point, not only down the minor leagues, but now in the major leagues, they all take 3 steps back the second they get on the plane to Pittsburgh. The second it happens, because they get there, and now Tolley is the number 2 guy in the rotation. Early's to like the number 1 guy at that point because where they build around Mitch Keller and Andrew McCutchen, and like what are we talking about?
The passwords
like,
they're building apart.
Yeah, Marcelo.
Franklin's in AAA.
Shortstop.
Franklin Arias is in AAA. Day 1.
Yeah, so like they wouldn't even that's a trade they would do because they wouldn't immediately make them better. Like. And this is something I had, again, going
and
back
they wouldn't have to pay
with
any of these guys for the next 6 years.
Exactly. And if they were to trade, say the Dodgers called, and I'm going to use the Dodgers as an example because they have a surplus of riches that legitimately never ends. Like, even the guys coming off the bench. People forget Michael Conforto was a part of the Dodgers team, and he didn't even play. Like, and he was like a legitimate outfielder that was going to be a piece to that Dodger team. Doesn't even play because they were able to go out and get Tommy Edman for $15 in a soda. Like
bag of chips.
The Dodgers, if they wanted to, they could call the Pittsburgh Pirates and say, you can take everyone but Shohei. You want Mookie? All right, well, Mookie, you want Muncy too? Okay, now you got Mookie and Muncy. But Pittsburgh wouldn't do that, even though they would get better offensively and add the bats they haven't had since Jose Cueto was on the mound in Pittsburgh pitching it for the Reds, and he was dropping the ball and all hell was breaking loose. Great time in Pittsburgh, by the way. The
only time they've had, exactly.
They wouldn't even do it because all of that money that we know Mookie's being paid and well-deserved, it's Mookie freaking Betts and Max Muncy, and I'm just throwing names out there to fill the equation. They wouldn't do it because they would have to put that money on the books.
And
that money would transfer over. It doesn't stay with LA. So they would have to take
and the deferred money too.
Yeah, they wouldn't want to take on the money. They wouldn't want to have to be like, oh, well, hey, guess what? We actually have to pay some of these guys real money rather than just trying to get the arbitration and trying to just get by and letting them walk in free agency. And man,
I think the sucky part about all this is that Pittsburgh is a good sports town. If you look at their NFL and even the Penguins the Penguins right now, whatever. I'm not a big NHL guy, but I know that they could be better. But either way, it's a good sports town, and I legitimately would argue, and I haven't even been there, that PNC is a top 5 park.
Yes. I haven't been there either.
They don't get tickets because the owner doesn't care.
Yep. I will say he was my neighbor for 18, 20 years, and now I still talk to him consistently. He born in Pittsburgh, raised in Pittsburgh, moved down to South Florida. He claims, and I didn't believe this. I called his bluff when he first told me this. Pittsburgh is a baseball town. but Pittsburgh hasn't had a baseball team to root for in so long that no one even thinks that's a remote possibility. Because all you think is when you say Pittsburgh, you think the
Steelers.
Pirates. Or excuse me, that's not true. You think the Steelers is what I meant to say.
When you
Because it's the
think
Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh,
Steelers,
you
it's the
think
Iron
Paul
Curtain, it's the
Skeens, the
Roonies.
Pirates.
Get him out of Pittsburgh, please. Don't send him to LA. Don't send him to New York. But God damn it, get him out of Pittsburgh, please. Please. Oh man. That's number one on the Christmas list.
That would be
Skeens
amazing.
out of Pittsburgh.
As a baseball fan, that's just something that I think everybody could divulge in.
Yeah. To close out the video or close out the stream. Money Mike again. You trade for Skeens. Ad Hauk for Skittles, a copy machine, and a tube of Pringles.
I mean, we traded Babe Ruth for some cash for a play, so seems like nothing's illegal. Everything's in play here.
Man.
I'll tell you what, Pittsburgh. Tell you what. We will give you the facilities of Fenway Park in some aspects and trade like Parks. We'll put them in the same place, but trade Parks and you will have less maintenance cost. You will have less costs of the concessions. You can raise your cost of concessions. You will make more money. We'll give you the stadium. You just give us PNC Park and we keep the monster. That's it.
Deal.
and I promise you, it will make your money a lot better because the maintenance costs. Fenway. I love Fenway to death, but they just got to repaint every year. That's why those seats have about 15 gallons of paint on them. And every time you go back to Fenway the next year and you grab on those sidebars, there's more paint than there was the year prior, and it's about an inch thicker until the end of the season when the paint finally starts to come off and they got to repaint it again.
I just don't get it how specifically Bob Nutting, like how it's not a hard equation. I am not good at math, okay? In college, I was a business major. They told me I had to take business calc, and I said, I'm switching majors. I'm not great at math. But this equation is not that hard.
No.
If you spend some money and you win a few more games, what you're winning.
If you make it to
Your
the
attendance
playoffs,
goes up, the concession goes up, the want to be a part of the Pittsburgh just baseball scene goes up. You're making money from that. You get nationally televised games. You make money from that. Like, you do events in Pittsburgh, and people, it's a household name now because Pittsburgh baseball is a thing. You make money from that. It is not a hard equation. The spend money to then make money in this scenario is very, very, it can be very elementary. And it's just something that is so opposed in Pittsburgh, at least at this range of how we're as an outsider looking at it. I just don't get it. I really don't. And I'm glad Boston's spending a little bit of money. They did last season, off season. Hopefully they do again this off season.
John Henry, can you stop looking at Liverpool like it's the next best thing?
Yeah, he thinks Liverpool's going to
Please.
retire him again. I don't get it. Just come
Here's
on.
how you retire John Henry. Just sell the Red Sox to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's
You
how
will
you
make a
retire.
pretty penny on that.
That's how you retire right now.
Yeah, dude. Man.
All right. Well, any final thoughts here before we let everybody go?
Scooble's a Red Sox.
That's a $400 million contract coming up next year.
It might be more than that.
He pitches like he did this year again. It's going to be 5. It legit might be 5.
Okay, we close out. Just a guess. We're just going to throw out years and a number for Scooble. And we'll close out on that.
How old is he?
How old is he? 20. I'm guessing 28.
I'm looking it up here. He's 28. He'll turn 29 this November in like a month and a half. So he'll be 29. So by the time he hits free agency, he'll officially sign at 30 years old.
He's going to get, oh man, I want to say he gets 10 years, but at the age of 30, or at the age of 30.
He is a pitcher,
which
is a little better to get to 40, but still.
I think it's an 8-year deal. And God, dude, he's gonna make so much. He's gonna make so much money, Jace. It's gonna be like 475.
I was gonna say 9,500, so I'm giving him an extra $25 million on the back end of the deal, and I'm front loading that deal. I'm saying first 4 years, I'm giving you freaking $60 million, $7 million a year. Back into the deal, you're getting 25.
For perspective, for anyone listening that doesn't have an idea of what these starting pitching contracts look like, Yamamoto for the Dodgers, he signed at 25. He got 12 years for $325 million. Yamamoto hadn't pitched a single pitch in the major leagues yet. Okay? Garrett Cole's just behind him with 9 years, $324 million, with 36
And he signed that contract,
what,
4 years ago now? 3 years ago now?
He was 29. 2020 he signed it, so 5 years ago.
5 years ago now. It was that much. And people say we didn't get a discount for Garrett Crochet.
By the way, if you go on Spotrac and you look for Crochet if you filter by starting pitchers in the actual money, you have to scroll down. I'm still scrolling.
He's the second best starting pitcher in the AL, arguably first. Top 4 pitcher in baseball for sure.
He's ranked 96th. Okay, that's because his contract hasn't kicked in yet. He's still only making $3.8 million. You want to know a name? 94, tied for 94th, Jose Quintana. You know who's tied with Jose Quintana? Tanner Houck.
That will go up
Cannon.
next year, but still.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like Nestor Cortez, Aaron Saval, like Drew Rasmuth, Ranger Suarez, free agent this year. Dustin May is 2 spots behind Garrett Crochet.
And what he got paid. But Garrett Crochet did get a signing bonus. So that was a big thing. And he's getting, what is he getting next year? 28?
24.
24, so. Not
24
too much
8.
higher up.
24 8.
Who's making $24 million right now on pitcher-wise?
A year?
Yeah, like this year, who made $24 million? Just that way we can kind of compare it to see as of next year, like what he's going to be around.
Wheeler made 42.
To get a blood clot and be out at 38
Well, he
years
signed
old.
a 3-year, $126 million deal.
Jeez.
Okay, let's see. 24 million was the number.
Yeah, that's what he's going to make. So I'm like, what's the
Okay, so Sonny Gray is making 25. He was tied for 22nd on the list in the sense of AAV, and there was 3 other guys making 25 million. All 3 of them,
not better.
if the Red Sox gave them that money, we would all like
burn the earth.
Hold our breath. Nathan Eovaldi, yes, he was great. He was great this season for spurts, got injured.
Yeah.
Sean Manaea, Jordan Montgomery. I don't even know if Montgomery pitched this year. 24 million, Aaron Nola. 23 million, Seth Lugo. Robbie Ray, 23 million. Luis Severino, 23.3 million. Kevin Gosman, 22 million.
You got
like
Crochet for that.
Yeah. He is I couldn't have been more ecstatic when they gave him that contract, and I will pat myself on the back here. I was jumping up and down that this was a robbery when it happened because he was going to go out there. He was going to be in the competition for Cy Young. He was going to lead the league or be in the tops of the league for strikeouts. And just imagine, Jace, let's play the hypothetical game again. What do you think the number for Crochet
it's 400
is
too. It's right
now?
behind
Like
Scooble. It's
on
10
October
years.
13th, if the extension never came and Crochet said, I'm betting on myself, that number's disrespectful, which thank God he didn't do that. And thank God the Red Sox actually approached him and attempted to extend him when they obviously traded
I think
for
it's 10-425.
Like, it's, yeah. Like,
it's 10,
maybe it's not 425, but it's certainly 385 plus. Like, it's somewhere in that
10 years,
385,
too.
420.
And it's 10
yeah,
years.
like, without a doubt. Like, hey, you got me at 26. I've been here for
I'll be 36 by the time this contract ends. I'm gonna be. This is legit my entire prime. You're getting me for, so pay me.
Yeah, like you just watched what I did. I told you what I was gonna do. I told you I was gonna be the ace. I told you I was gonna be in the running, if not the Cy Young. Like and then like to go out there and lead the league in strikeouts, not just the AL, but the entirety. He had what 260 Ks this year,
something like that.
Like the only other guy close to him was Tarek Skubal. And yeah, Wheeler was up there, and then you had the horrible blood clot situation that happened. Hope everything goes well with him.
Really stinks too, because he would have been a huge piece of the Phillies postseason. I don't know if they would have won with him, but that would have been a big turn.
Without a doubt. Like, he would have been the game one starter. He would have been someone they went to in high leverage if they absolutely had to, like Luzardo. Like, man. Like,
better arm than Kirkering.
Well, no, better decision making than Kirkering. I can see the screenshot, like, because I paused the replay of when he picked the ball up, and Realmuto was standing like this,
looking at first.
He's literally, glove is down. He's like this, and he just turns and fires. And Realmuto's like, "Whoa, no, please don't throw it."
We have 2 outs.
Yeah, and there was no joke. If he would have thrown it, he would have got the runner going to first. I can't remember exactly who it was.
Pause.
He would have got him by 6 feet. Like, it wouldn't have been close.
Paz was fast, but he would have gotten him
easily. If you look at the replay, he was about halfway to first when he fielded the ball and like gathered. It was like, dude, you throw 100, just turn left and throw 100.
Of course, if it was accuracy was the same, it wouldn't have mattered. But
yeah, it was still. I don't know. It would have been really close. It would have been really, really close.
It's easier to throw to first than home as a pitcher.
Yeah,
at least on that situation,
without a doubt.
All right, well, 2 hours into this, I think we've covered everything free agent wise.
We'll
start. We'll do these probably more weekly. I think a lot of times, especially given this was the first free agency and postseason look at, probably do it more like an hour. But I mean, I think we can do this every Monday, Tuesday area. I don't know.
Yeah,
Houston,
I'll be available Monday, Tuesday.
There we go. So if
you
like
works.
this time, everybody, let me know in the comments and the comments of the video. But yeah, we appreciate you. We'll keep doing one a week, and hopefully we can do one with breaking news. The Red Sox have traded for Joe Ryan at some point this offseason.
Yeah. And if there's a specific name or if there's a specific scenario, please drop them in comments.
I'll tell you what we'll do. Next Sunday, I'll make a community post basically saying we're having a live stream tomorrow. Join. Second of all, if you want your question answered, put it in here. And if you want your question to guarantee to be answered, we can do super chats next week. And if you super chat, we'll guarantee to answer your question. So.
Yeah, without a doubt. But please, don't think that we're not like reading the chat or taking in any that you're please. We love to interact. We want to answer your questions because not only are you asking questions, but it just gives us another talking point that we can get into and break it down elaborately and give you guys our ideas and how we feel about it.
Yeah. So we appreciate you.